Shemai guys and girls, JonnyVR here with my review for the third episode of Doctor Who Series 12, Orphan 55. I'm going to keep the start spoiler free, and I'll give you a spoiler warning when I start going into the plot points of the episode. Now, ultimately, there's a lot going on in this episode, and there's a lot of characters in this episode. And that makes it really difficult to sort of enjoy the episode. I really struggled because a lot of the episode is sort of built around this group of people who, like, and you can't really spend enough time with them to sort of know them. Kind of, then they sort of, something happens, then they move around from place to place. And it sort of makes me ask questions that I don't feel like I should be asking about an episode of any TV, really, let alone Doctor Who, because it feels like every time they get to another place, I'm like, well, how did they get there, or wait a minute, why are they there now, or it's sort of hard to follow in that aspect, and I think that's a real shame because this episode, I think, was built around what the creatures were in the trailer, and honestly, I think they are the strongest part of the episode. So I'm happy about that, but I honestly feel like it struggles a little bit this episode, which is a real shame because it doesn't do them justice. But it's one episode of this series. You don't really get much continuation from the first two episodes. And, I think ultimately at the end, it ends up with a sort of message that's almost so in your face that it's pretty shocking. Like, honestly, it almost takes us like for granted. Like, it almost tells us that, the viewers are sort of too stupid to figure this one out, so we gotta tell it to them straight. And it's a bit weird. It feels like, honestly, that there was an agenda behind this episode, at least, to get a message across. It's like the BBC was like, what, we need this message across, so we need you to write an episode for this. And it does take away out of it, and I'm just left a little bit disappointed. That's the word for it. Like, overall, the story was okay. It does twist and turn a fair bit, but like, I feel like the twists and turns were not. Some of them were like left you asking these questions, like, wait, what? How did that happen? And then there's one twist which I think is the standout of the episode. A standout moment, and should be, that's what they should have kept the twist as. I don't think they needed to add sort of all these intricate plot lines between all of the guest cast. It's ridiculous. There's too many of them, I think. So this is going to be a hard one to rate. But anyway, to give you more context, I'll go into the spoiler part of this video. So spoiler alert, here's your warning, and if you want to see my score, come back towards the end of the video. So the episode begins in the TARDIS. They released a little clip beforehand of them cleaning up some alien goo from the TARDIS, some sort of tentacle-y thing, and Graham finds this cube that's a transport cube or something that takes them to Tranquility Spa, which is, again, he puts it together sort of before the Doctor has anything to say about it, and all of a sudden, boom, they're transported to Tranquility Spa, which is, fair enough way of getting them there, but it sort of is the same, I found, with Series 11, is that they never give the TARDIS any chance. They never have them fly into a place by the TARDIS. They're always in the middle of something, or they're always already there. We never get to spend any amount of time in the TARDIS because there's some sort of plot point that means that they don't have to be in the TARDIS. So, it's like a fair enough way of getting them there, of starting the story, but, it's kind of like, why can't they just go there, in the TARDIS? And, how do they get back to that? Well, they get back to the TARDIS, but it's like, what's the point? They could have done that from anywhere. it's just a bit like, I want to see more of the TARDIS. That's what I want to see. I want to see them, having banter and go into different places rather than seeing it sort of pan out like that. What else do we have? We have, immediately upon arrival, we have this character introduced to us called Hyphen with a 3, and honestly, again, come on, BBC, you can do better than that for her costume. She's just like this weird squirrel thing, but like it's utter cringe. Like, so much so that, she has these ears and this face paint and a big tail that you can clearly tell is one of these clip-on tails that you see in, like, for kids, in, like, gift shops in a zoo or something. It's just like, it's just ridiculous. And not only that, but every time she appeared in a scene, like, I just couldn't take it seriously. It just took me out because I kept on thinking, what a ridiculous costume, honestly. A real shame. And her character is pointless, and she doesn't last the episode, so just another sort of character that they added just so who could die. Other characters, I can't even remember their names. Or is it Velma and Benny? Yeah, they were probably the strongest characters, I think. They were this old couple who are enjoying their time in the spa, really good. And part of the episode becomes a hunt for Benny, which is, fair enough. He was going to propose. I think they got a really good story between them. Ultimately, he dies, and she, sacrifices her life so the group could survive. And the way she does it is probably one of the strengths of the episode. It's a good part of the episode, and because it makes sense. There's a lot of the creatures coming for them, and she is the only one who kind of gives her life so that the entire group can escape. Fair enough. I think both the best characters in this story and the one that makes you feel the most when something happens, the bit where they're in the truck and you hear Benny's voice saying, he finally gets to propose, but also like, when someone gets the chance, please shoot me. That's heartbreaking. It really, it invests you in the characters because you kind of want them to survive, but ultimately it all goes downhill. Probably the best written characters in the episode. James Buckley's character and his son, Silas was his son. I can't even remember his name, to be honest. They're just there. They have some part to play, but early on it's established that his son's a better engineer than him. It goes exactly how you predict it to, and that's kind of, again, what's the point of him being there apart from, to help tidy things up in the end, with the creating of the new element. Again, 2 more characters, so already we're at like 5 characters. And then you got this Sergeant Kane, I think her name was, and she succeeds at being a considerable villain that you'd want to hate. With the way that she's only in it for the money. She wants to terraform this dead planet, and she takes Velma's necklace so that with no hesitation, just so they can go find Benny. She's just in it for the money, and I think she succeeds in that. She's very stubborn. She's not giving the Doctor any information that would be beneficial, leaving the Doctor to work it out for herself. You just really enjoy to dislike that character. And, there's another character who, I can't remember her name, but Ryan sort of starts flirting with her. Bit of an interesting thing to take Ryan, considering people are often debating, like, is there only going to be any romance in this series, or are they just going to, like, be friends? He starts flirting with this woman he's never met before on an alien planet. It does well. It does make you think, like, what's going to happen now? Is there going to be repercussions or anything? And there is, to an extent, right at the end. It does make you feel a little bit for the character and Ryan's reaction when, ultimately they get left behind. But, again, that's what we're up to 7 characters, including not including the Doctor and her 3 companions. It's like 11 people, and it's just too much to keep on top of in the episode. And that's before we even get to like the plot twist and like the intricate like characters and their actual lives. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the sort of the plot twists. How there's sort of a lot of plot twists, but like only one of them I think is well earned. Because at some point in the episode, it turns out that Ryan's girlfriend, let's just call her Ryan's girlfriend, she's the daughter of Sergeant Kane, and she's been a terrible mother, and it's sort of like you're left thinking, oh, okay, right, trying to keep on top of this, more. And then you realize that she hates her, and she's been with her the whole time so far, and you're just like, why wait until now? You get the whole point where she threatens him with a gun, and they both at gunpoint, and then somehow then Ryan and Ryan's girlfriend teleport back to the Tranquility Spa, and I'm like, wait, what? Why did that happen? And at this point, Benny is dead because Kane killed him, which again adds to her ruthless character. But again, they just teleported back to Tranquility Spa. Why can't everyone else teleport back to Tranquility Spa? Why they have to go through the planet? Those are the questions that I found myself asking more than anything. It was a lot of plot twists that almost felt like they were there just to do something. The biggest plot twist, though, was when they're in this underground station. They found some Russian text, and they found out that Orphan 55, which is the name of the episode, is actually an orphan planet, and the orphan planet turns out to be Earth, which I think was a very good plot twist, because they build up what an orphan planet is, and they deliver that the orphan planet is Earth, and the dregs are what's left of humanity, and the dregs are the aliens, the creatures, and I think they look incredible, and it just confuses me, because you have such their design and their build is intimidating, it's monstrous, and then you get -3 with a weird squirrel tail, it's all a bit unbalanced, that can't decide whether it wants to be a cheesy episode or episode with terrifying monsters and everyone's running for their lives. I thought they were the best. Some of the best aspects of the episode were the dregs themselves, these creatures that actually are us. And you really think that, oh my gosh, this is where we're going, this is what radiation will do, this is what, this is our future we're looking at, it goes without saying. But, right at the very end, everyone is understandably really shocked that the planet they were on was Earth. And I think that plot twist is well earned. But I feel like they really they sort of wanted to go that extra mile just to say, this is what you need to do to stop this happening in real life. The Doctor gives a whole speech about, global warming and how small differences, things like that. Just like, it really takes you out of it. Because the moment it's Earth, and the reason why why it's Earth when she reads the Dreg's mind is as a viewer, sort of the implications that we have now. You don't need a whole speech, to tell you that, and it just sort of wastes a little bit of episode time, and sort of it left me feeling like I got that. I got the point of the episode before you kind of having to spoon feed it, and that's why I think it falls into the trap that Series 11 fell into, and that it was trying to be. It was science fiction written to tell a story, which again, not, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like you can do it without sort of it being spoon fed to you. Honestly, I think this plot twist was good, but they sort of undid it a bit when they sort of had to give a big speech to everyone who was watching. Apart from that, there's a few good moments. Also, I liked when they had the oxygen thing, which was decent, and I thought it was one of the things I thought was good was when the doctor's goes red, which means she has like no oxygen left, she can't afford to talk. And she mentions to Yaz that she can't talk, and I thought, wow, this is intense now, because they've taken away one of the doctor's assets, her voice. You know, she can't tell people what's going on. I thought that was really strong, but then only to find out a couple of minutes later that she could recharge it from the dregs, you know, because apparently they breathe carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Very convenient, but, you know, that's what we get. That's what we get. You know, overall, I think the dregs are the best bit of the episode, and it feels like I have to go back and watch it again just to follow it, you know, and not, you know, I feel like I shouldn't have to go and watch it multiple times just to get the episode. You know, it should be straightforward enough that you can watch it and you can know what's going on in the episode as it happens. As much as the series arc that was started in the Spyfall two-parter, you don't get much of a continuation, if anything. The only thing that I thought continued it a little bit was when Yaz and Graham, or they say to the doctor at the beginning that she's been in a bit of a mood, and you can tell why after the ending of the last video, but, you know, nothing really to continue the story or the series arc. Again, the music, you know, more or less not there this time. Like, I found myself not paying attention to any music like I did in the first two. Sound, I think, was a bit weird, because a lot of the time, I feel like they were given like the information. It was too loud, or it just felt like it was trying to be too much of a blockbuster, that they literally put the sound up too much, and sometimes it's hard to hear what's going on and what people are saying. People said about this episode before it was released that it was scary and that these creatures were going to be terrifying. It's not that scary. It doesn't make you jump. It's not really scary at all. I think they just used that the actors thought that the dregs design was scary when they were filming. Obviously it's different for them when they're actually filming, but all it takes is them to say, oh yeah, we got really scared by these things, you know, they made us jump a few times when they, you know, in filming, and then they can advertise it as like, oh yeah, this is going to be a really, really scary episode. Not really. Yeah, Ed Heim, who wrote this episode and also wrote It Takes You Away, I thought It Takes You Away was a better story because it was more self-contained. So, you know, where do I put this episode? How do I rate this episode? I think I'm going to put it at a 6.8 because the dregs were good. But again, the story is just kind of like, you can more or less get it, but I was asking too many questions that I feel like I shouldn't be asking. 6.8 I think is decent, you know, decent enough, but, you know, from the start of the series to now, 3 episodes in already, it's gone from sort of a high to a little bit less, so I'm really hoping that there'll be a few good episodes coming up that will sort of boost this before, you know, the end of the series. Yeah, that's it really. I think my sort of summary of this is that it's a decent enough episode, but ultimately I'm a little disappointed with it. You know, I wanted it to be more, but the standouts were the dregs, the actual creatures, and that one plot twist which was overdone at the end. Too many characters, way too many characters, and hard to follow at times. 6.7 or 6.8 did I say? Yeah, 6.8. You know, I still feel like I'm being a little generous, but I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Make sure you tune in next Sunday where I'll have my review of the next episode. Make sure you check out our gaming channel where we play video games and I play VR games. And yeah, with all that said and done, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.